Story Corner, presented by Jennifer. What clued Angela in? Cats' whiskers are sensory devices used to help with orientation and balance, among other things. A real groomer would never cut them. Okay, for those of you who deduced correctly, very good job. For those of you who were not as accurate, well, you'll have another chance coming right up in our next mystery. Dinner to Die For. The Halloween festival was in full swing with goblins, witches, and vampires roaming the streets as Detective Amy Rose and her partner, Detective Rob Garrett, made their way to La Cuisine, the downtown's most exclusive restaurant. Pumpkins and colored corn cobs decorated the doorway, but in the kitchen, famous Chef Delore lay face down on a tile floor with an expensive carving knife in his back. Mr. Green, the manager, greeted the detectives. "I'm ruined," he cried. "It's gone." "What's gone?" Detective Rose asked. "He's talking about Chef Dore's book of food suppliers," said a man in a crisp chef's uniform. "I'm Chef Becker," he added, extending a hand. "I was Dore's assistant." Detective Rose returned her focus to Mr. Green. "The man is dead, and you're worried about his supplies? His suppliers?" Mr. Green sank into the nearest chair. "It's sad that he met an untimely death, but Dore had unparalleled connections to the best in the business, from truffles to cocoa. We can't go on without them. What am I supposed to do?" "Why don't you show us the victim?" Detective Rose said. Mr. Green led them to the kitchen, where pots and pans and cooking utensils littered the scene. Food bins were overturned, and layers of flour covered everything. Chef Dore lay on his stomach by the center island, a gruesome-looking knife in the obvious cause of death. The flour was disturbed in many spots, as though a terrible scuffle had taken place. "Did either of you enter this room?" Detective Garrett asked. "I did," said Mr. Green, "but just to rush over and see if he was still alive. Sadly, I was too late." Detective Rose noticed Mr. Green's shoes were covered in flour, as was one knee of his pants. She turned to Chef Becker, who had no flour on him except a little sprinkle on the side of his hair. "I didn't come in here. I just called 911. Mr. Green pointed to the back wall. "Chef Dore kept his book of suppliers in that safe. The book is gone, along with last night's cash deposit. He always came in here an hour before we opened to set the specials for the night." "Who would know this besides you two?" Detective Rose asked. Chef Becker narrowed his eyes. "What are you implying? That we had something to do with this?" Detective Rose carefully made her way to the back door, which led out to the food delivery alley. "Was this how you found it? Ajar?" "Yes, only Chef Dore and I have the keys," Mr. Green said. "Any security film?" "Once you unlock the door and put in the code, it deactivates the cameras." "Looks like he may have let the killer in," she commented. "Any problems or threats lately?" Mr. Green stiffened. "The only conflict is the new restaurant across town. They wanted him to join them there, but he refused. Even offered to double his salary," added Chef Becker. "I told him he was a fool not to go." "He was very loyal to the restaurant," Mr. Green shot back. Chef Becker shrugged and ran a hand through his hair. Did you notice anyone strange or out of place in the last day or two? Detective Rose asked. Chef Becker spread his arms wide. Look around you. There are people all over in masks and costumes. The town has been crazy all weekend with the festival events. Detective Rose took Detective Garrett aside. Men who try to fight off robbers don't end up with a knife in their back. I believe the fight was staged, and I know who did it. Who was the killer? Write your answer in the comment section, and tune in next time to the Halloween.